for the Albion Mag radio show. It's 11 o'clock Saturday morning, live in the 1BTN studios. Dean Kilford joined once again by the returning hero, Leon Cox.
Good morning.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, on the mend, thanks.
This is good to hear. A couple of weeks, you've probably been knocked out by this, whatever this bug is.
Yeah, it's just a lingering cough and, just general dilapidation of my poor, creaky, middle-aged self.
But what's obviously you coined the sick bed was...
Well, that seemed a bit harsh,
I thought it was a bit
as
harsh.
I've been doing this show for well over a year, and I think that was the first one I've missed.
Yeah,
but that's, well...
Well, I think the positive of it was your very accurate predicting PlayStation skills of getting the result right.
Yes, yeah, the goal didn't come exactly in the same manner, but it was a first half goal and it was 1-0. Yeah, so... Well,
I don't know what to say about that.
It doesn't always work out that way. I'll let you know what happened when I previewed this week's match later on in a prediction.
Yes, that's a regular part of the show. It's
going to have to be
PlayStation predictions.
Xbox One actually for FIFA, but whatever.
Sorry. All right, FIFA predictions, that'll do. We've got a packed show, of course. We've got music from our friends at Jalapeno Records. We've got the result of our Twitter poll, which today is simply when will Murray get his century goal? When will he score his 100th goal? Would it be today? Possibly not. Depends on the concussion
Probably not
protocol.
Yeah.
And then we've put the next three fixtures because it's going to come sooner rather than later.
Well, I hope so, but it did actually put that anxiety in my head. What if he gets stuck on 99, like in the same way that...
like batsmen trying to hit their century.
Yes, or Gary Lineker trying to match Bobby Charlton's record.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we've got our Twitter poll to look forward to later on in the show. We've also got special guest, BAFTA-nominated actor and accomplished writer Mark Brailsford will be joining us. Looking forward to that one when he gets here. And on top of that, of course, we've got our preview of the Wolves game today, the review of the Newcastle game, everything to do with the women's under-23s team, whose impressive victory over Benfica we'll talk about. Another goal for that man, Connolly. And the non-league roundup to finish us off. Yeah. As
usual, a packed bumper hour that will fly by, no doubt, for us, if not for the listeners. Hopefully for everybody.
Well, let's start with... I'm going to start with a bit of non-league news, only because those of you listening towards the end of last season, we mentioned about the plight of Dulwich Hamlets, which were forced out of their grounds by a property company that were looking to redevelop their grounds to build housing, and I'm pleased to say that this week that agreement was been reached with the council, with the club, and with this company that they'll be able to move back to their grounds, and it's a year. It's an 18-month initial deal with a year rolling contract after that. But as their only criteria they have to fulfil is that the stadium is available for the community, which is what they did anyway, but they're actually installing a part of that 3G pitch there, I believe, to make it available 24/7, but you know what I mean. So that's pleasing. That's good to hear.
Yeah, great news.
Club returning home.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a bit of bright news. Albion related news. We should mention this ahead of the Wolves game. It's the Albion the Community Bring a Pound Day, isn't it?
Bring a Quid Day. Yes, Matty Ryan was made an impassioned plea to camera that he was definitely reading yesterday to remind people to bring a quid. Obviously, it's for the very good causes and the good work that the Albion do, as I'm sure they would anyway. But I believe it's part of the remit to have various initiatives in and around. Obviously, every year they do the big bike ride and
loads of events,
all sorts of other things. So it's Quid in a Bucket Day, basically, just to encourage a little upsurge in takings. I was wondering actually, because I know normally it's the nearest home game to Remembrance Sunday, and I realise obviously it's still October, but actually I don't think we've got another home game, so I don't know if that's today as well, but I assume they wouldn't do two at the same.
Yeah, well, because the next home game obviously is it after the international break, so it's going to be after. Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how we're approaching that. I mean, in the old days, if you didn't have a game anywhere near Remembrance Sunday, you partook in the Remembrance activities at another ground, and it wasn't that every single ground, every single game every single club had to do something, but everyone feels compelled to these days. So I don't know how we're approaching that given this big old gap, but maybe it'll be after we come back. I don't know. That seems odd, but
okay. Well,
forgive me for not knowing.
Well, no, it's a mystery, that one, which will be solved in the coming weeks.
Yes.
It feels like I'm shilling some kind of detective mystery, but it's not. Also, this is nice from the club. The video for Peter Brackley.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great touch from the club, that, and it has received a lot of positive musings on social media. Yeah,
very sad that he passed away 2 weeks ago now. Only 67, much younger than I perhaps thought, because he was such a veteran. Anyone who was watching football in the 90s will remember his very distinctive voice from Gazzetta Italia, with James Richardson presenting and Peter Brackley on commentary. James Richardson did a very, I think, what felt like a very heartfelt and sincere tribute to him on his podcast, Totally Football Show. And he's a lifelong Albion fan. Also, younger folks, although perhaps the way it was put together in the game wasn't the best, but actually Peter Brackley for many years provided the commentary for the Pro Evo games as well. So his voice voice will be familiar to gamers of a certain generation as well. So a lifelong Albion fan. By all accounts, a lovely bloke. And perhaps one of the most curious facts about him was that he provided the voice for the Jimmy Greaves puppet on 80s satirical ITV show. On Spitting Image. Yeah, he was a noted wit and impressionist as well. So just a real sad loss. And so there'll be a minute's applause to remember him on the 67th minute during the game, which is always a strange thing. Still never seen it happen where during the minute's applause, something. I think the players tend to kind of ease off a bit during those minutes applause to make sure nothing interrupts it.
Yeah, this is a good point actually. If there's anyone's been to a game or knows of a game where a goal has been scored, or
it would be okay if we scored because it'd just say, well, that's for Peter, and that's fine. But if we concede, what do? We carry on applauding?
I don't know,
because people.
You're right. I've never seen that in. Well, however many.
I mean, it's quite a common thing to do these days, the minutes applause during the game. So
interesting. Well, if anyone's listening and does, then do get in touch. Twitter @TAM Radio Show.
If anyone from the Wolverhampton Wanderers team is listening, just please don't score during the minutes applause. It would be really inappropriate and disrespectful.
Yes. Take that. Where we're at. Another feature. Oh, we've got another new feature on this day. Forgot to mention this.
I can't believe we haven't wedged this into the show before. Our a godlike figure, Dan Tester.
You're welcome, Dan.
Yeah, creative lead, the man behind the Albion Mag brand, certainly one of them anyway, released a book some years ago on this day. I remember when I first saw it and I saw the name on the book and I thought, hang on, I think I know that geezer. And there it was.
And it turns out you do.
Yeah.
And so obviously there are facts about things that have happened on every day of the year related to Brighton Hove Albion, so we will add that as a feature through the show. But we're going to start, although we have already started, with a review of the Newcastle game last weekend. How did you catch it? Normal radio?
Yeah, radio commentary followed by brief highlights, and also I had live text updates from my friend and friend of the show, Neil Smith, who was at the game with his daughter. Went all the way up there to Newcastle.
Nice.
And I think it's fair to say that he was very much of a mind that it was our lucky day.
Well, this is the beautiful thing, is that because I'm not saying that we've played. Ultimately, I mean, was it 27 shots they had or something? Like they did last year when we played at there and they didn't score. But to come away with 3 points from a game like that has not happened to us.
Not so much. Not in recent times.
That's a good sign.
It felt like something towards recompense for the very goal that you fellows were talking about last week, the ridiculous fluke at the Amex in the promotion season.
Yes,
because it was not a million miles away. I mean, it wasn't quite as insane, but decent driven shot from Izquierdo, but I think it was going straight into the goalkeeper's
it was a nice little... and we're joined in the studio. Mark Brailsford's he's found his way here. He looks like he's a big old stroll and a stretch. You catch your breath, Mark. We'll carry on with the Newcastle game. He's Mark Brailsford. Very pleased to have him in the studio. We'll get his thoughts on the game as well. But yeah, you're right. The lucky nature of the goal. The fact that it was a little bit backs to the wall defending.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. Duncan Duffy again getting plaudits everywhere for dual man of the match performances, especially Duffy again, I think.
Yeah, which highlights again something we were saying last week, is that Duffy really is stepped up this season.
Yeah.
Not saying that he wasn't last season, but he has definitely taken his game up another level, which is what you want to see year in, year out.
Yeah, and also we're seeing Baram Kyle really coming into his own with the getting a bit of a berth in the midfield and getting a chance to get a run of games together, and he's now got a goal on the board after a fashion. He didn't know too much about it, but
well, that was the funny thing, seeing Square go off and celebrate, and then Kyle's running off the other way, Shearer-like arm in air in front of the.
And by the way, it was never a corner either. I mean, I almost don't like getting goals like that, but you know.
Well, you've got to have them. Mark he's refreshed. He's got his breath back. Newcastle. How did you follow the game? Did you text updates, radio, match of the day? What are your thoughts?
Well, exactly. Actually, match of the day was my access to watching it, but because I was flat out. But in a good way, I listened to the radio, of course, like you do. So I was dropping in and out of it. And I was thinking, Newcastle, this game, it's going to be bitty. It's going to be, and it was as scrappy as we thought it would be. But I'm agreeing with you. What you said about the scrappiness of the goal is just. But I suppose you take them, don't you?
Absolutely, yeah. You got to take the wins where they come, and if they come like that every week.
And I mean, I'm still annoyed that we didn't win the title over Newcastle from the Championship. I know it feels like it's partially like ancient history now, but we did it to ourselves in many ways. But we were ultimately
3 weeks out on the Razzle will do that to any club. I think.
And we still came within minutes. And I know we've mentioned it before, but we still came within literally like a minute of actually securing that title.
Ultimately, Villa. We should be more angry at Villa than anyone at any other club.
And Pritchard.
Yeah, and we will never forget him. Every time he comes back, the doing is hilarious.
Yeah.
Interestingly, I think with the Norwich game, do you remember when he went off at the end of the game and he waved over to the Albion fans and we'd given him stick all through the game, and he still went, I'd still like to come over because you're in Premier League.
Yeah. Now he's struggling with Huddersfield, so.
Yes, he was such a good player as well. Anyway, moving on. So basically, we draw a line under Newcastle, which is I will take 3 points like that. Maybe not every week, because I don't think.
No, we should mention the Glenn Murray incident. We can't.
Well, I was going to get onto that as part of the show, but let's tie it in. So obviously, thankfully, we were following that. I was following his injury whilst commentating on the game. Was following that he went to hospital. Very quickly and got released very quickly. It
was actually quite shocking seeing it back, and I can understand that there's a bit of an issue, I'd say, and this is not to call out our esteemed colleagues over on the BBC, but I do find that Johnny Cantor's commentary style, he tends to be a bit... he tends to immediately, as soon as anyone gets even the slightest injury, he goes straight to 11 on the panicometer. So he tends to fret. So if you're listening to the game and you've got no pictures, somebody will go down, and if you're at the game, you'll know that it was a clip, or it was something that they'll be rubbing their shins for a couple of minutes and getting up. But he tends to go to in full catastrophising mode. That's his career over. I don't think we'll ever see him play for the Albion again. So when Glenn Murray went down and they were fretting, I was like, he'll probably be fine. But then they started saying about the players looking concerned, ushering the stretcher on. And then I think Aspinall said it looked like he had some sort of spasm. Actually, I don't think he did. He just bounced because he was Sparko. So he hits the deck. And then you see it on Match Today, and he's like face down on the pitch on the grass and he is proper out cold.
It has to be said also, the reaction of the players were on both sides were brilliant in terms of that must be some kind of training in terms of that they were looking out for it, and straight away they called over and got the medical. That's where, as the stupid wall waiting for the referee to wave him on. If I was medical staff and seen that, I'd be on.
Yeah, no,
but I don't understand why they still have to wait. But that's
surely life-saving comes over any protocols in that regard.
Absolutely.
Well, more importantly, I don't know if it drives anyone else nuts. They were strolling so slowly with that stretcher. And even the Newcastle players,
it was like they were waving.
I think again they're told not to trot because of all the
Like
there's all those
horses.
YouTube videos. There's all those YouTube videos of stretcher bearers like coming a cropper on the way on the
Well,
pitch.
you
So.
remember the days at the Withdean? Those St John's ambulance.
Oh,
boats
yeah.
that were sat between never moved.
No.
And when they suddenly had to be called into action, there was this slow process of calling themselves up. And, oh, do we? Have
Yeah, he didn't keep himself limber.
Oh, it's driving me bananas.
Also, fair play to the Newcastle fans, who I don't always have that much time for. I think they can be a bit entitled and whatever else. But compared to the West Ham fans, who were giving Davy Prupper all that stick the other week when he was clearly properly injured and has now been out for some time, they applauded
Yep.
Murray off the pitch.
Absolutely.
I know he's semi-local, but I mean he's from the northeast. He's actually not a Newcastle, but his family were there, which so it must have been. I mean, they probably got to spend more time with him than they would have done, but albeit with him, Sparko in a hospital bed.
Yeah, well, because he came on he travelled back with the club.
No, he stayed up. No, he stayed up there.
Oh. So
Yeah, I
the
believe
last
so.
update I think I passed on to you was that he was coming to meet the team. And
Yeah, I'm not. I did hear different
Okay.
variations, but I believe it was planned that he was supposed to be spending a little time with his northeastern-based relatives anyway. So, but
anyway, good to know that he's
going to be fine.
He's going to be fine.
That's the bottom line.
It kind of ties into preview, which we'll go into in a bit. But concussion protocol is a good thing. Obviously, hopefully he'll be available. In terms of that, they have to wait and assess them a week after. That's
6
a good
days
thing.
is the absolute minimum, apparently, by Premier League protocols. But in other fields, this is where the concussion stuff is not consistent across sports or indeed the wider world. Obviously, I expect there's pressure from clubs to make it as short as possible a period that they are mandated to not be allowed to play, but actually medical professionals will tell you that it should be a much longer period if you've been knocked out at any point before you do anything.
So well,
I think they'll leave him out, but
absolutely. Well, we'll come on to that, but we're going to go. We'll speak to Mark's joined us in the studio. You come midway through the Newcastle game. Mark, just. He's a BAFTA award nominated actor. Well, you take the credit, Mark. Take the credit.
Collective award.
Writer. But you've written a new book, new play. Interestingly, it's a sort of a Russian and almost a Palace twister now. Gareth Southgate ate my credit card. I'm sorry, obviously the Southgate Palace thing. What's that all about?
Well, it still makes me flinch, the Palace connection. Well, obviously, Gareth Southgate's history aside, he did a great job for England over the summer. And I've got, as we say, what the police would say, I've got previous in this regard because this is a project with Paul Hodgson, who some of you might remember did Brighton Side Time with Dave Blake, and that was one of my favourite things I've ever done. And Paul's just a brilliant writer, so to work with him is fantastic. And Gareth Southgate Ate My Credit Card is pretty much the sequel to Ronaldo Ate My Credit Card when I dashed off to Japan in 2002. We turned that into a play, took it to Edinburgh within about 6 weeks of me coming back, and so that was written, rehearsed. In fact, it was 4 weeks now I think of it. It was insane.
That is
got
insane.
a last minute slot at the Pleasance up in Edinburgh, got great reviews, toured it, and paid off the bill. So I thought, might do that again, so that's where it kind of came from. But actually the desire to get to Russia came out because, as we all know, everyone's going, oh no, I'm not going to Russia, not going to Russia. And then it turned out to be the greatest World Cup experience for years. So I went, right, I've got to go. So off we went, and now
fantastic.
we have Gareth Southgate in my credit card.
But that wasn't the original name for the book. Is that right?
That's spot on. Good research. Yes, it was Harry Kane ate my credit card first, and then we thought, well, where are we going with this? And actually, because of the waistcoat thing, the way especially in the political context we're in, whichever side of the Brexit divide you're on, there is this thing of abroad. I certainly felt it in Moscow. You got this sympathy for, like banana republics used to have. It's terrible stuff at home politically, but at least they got their football.
Yeah,
and that was what it was like to be an England fan in Moscow. So, and Gareth Southgate was that lovely thing. A progressive and intelligent, decent human being doing a great job of harnessing this progressive and modern, multicultural team. That's the England I like. That's my England
completely,
and I loved that. And that's what internationally is brilliant to be part of. So it's a celebration of that too, really.
There's also is there a slight nod and throwback to Arthur Smith's An Evening with Gary Lineker?
Exactly, of course, which is generically the kind of sort of the spawn of these shows, really. And I think then, Fever Pitch, of course, was part of that narrative.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul Hodgson adapted that and directed it for the West End. So,
right.
So he's got that legacy as well, and his knowledge of that standard of performance and style of it. So, and Steve North famously did it for a while. And Northie is very funny because obviously, you know, he's an Albion fan, Northie. Yeah. And there he is in his Arsenal shirt doing his stuff. But of course, and the Arsenal fans, you know, when they got to know this, you know, there was a little bit of, he's not an Arsenal fan. But actually, it's
insane. It's acting, isn't it?
It's a great piece. But it's actually not just about football. It really is about life, you know. And Fever Pictures, some people know, have seen the film as well, will know that it's actually a story really of addiction to the game we love that we're talking about now.
Yeah, the endorphins and the experience it provides, and the narrative and the
broken marriages and because it's a story. Gareth Southgate and My Credit Card, in the same vein, is really a story about people and life, and in fact subtitled How Football Can Ruin Your Life. Right. And it's subjectively in places based on truth, but it's a piece of fiction. It's a fictional character. Okay. So I'm playing it as this guy called Simon, who's a fictional character based on certain truthful elements of my past. Put it that way.
Gotcha.
Where we'll be able to catch that? Where is it premiering? We're still finalising venues. We're talking to a couple of venues now about dates. We were going to do it in the next few weeks, but we pushed it back to the new year now. So we'll be doing that possibly at the Latest Music Bar, possibly Comedia Studio. We don't know yet. So we're talking about dates and rehearsal schedules and rewrites and stuff. And because we did the first read through this week, and Ronaldo Ate My Credit Card was very successful, but this one is an even better script. I think Paul's done an amazing job on it, and he's taken all the stuff that we drew together and put it into this form that's just going to be so much fun. Really great. Amazing. So maybe a slot Brighton Fringe next, what's that, in May next year? Yeah, we're talking about that. We're in discussions with the Spiegel Tent guys, where I took my another production, Southern Fail, the musical, which I did there, which was very successful for various reasons, you can probably imagine. But talk about falling through an open door, an open goal. But yeah, so we're talking to them, and yes, we think it'll be in the Fringe. Yeah,
there's an Indiegogo. People can support you.
We did have it. It's just run out.
Oh, it's finished.
But we might start another one because it didn't work. So if anyone's got any money,
you hadn't been on this show.
I know. Should have come on.
Just extend it for another.
I'll try, actually. I don't know if I can.
Well, give it a set up a new one. If you can support the project.
Search Indiegogo for Gareth Southgate Ate My Credit Card and see what happens. See if you can
still actually, yes, after the date, you can still suggest. So yes, but by all means, Indiegogo is the site to go to.
There you go.
There you go. Happy days. So we're going to roll in. We have obviously plenty more from Mark throughout the show. He's going to be with us all the way through. Yes, little nods. We're going to bring our feature. I'm going to put some music to this. The On This Day feature.
Got another audio bed?
Well, no, I haven't yet, but it's something that I'll come up with. Okay. I need to find the right tune to rip off to put behind it.
Well, if we play less than 30 seconds, we don't need to pay PRS, I think so.
Okay, good to know. So on this day, as we mentioned before, Tan Tester wrote a book simply entitled Brighton Hove Albion on This Day. What a simple title. Does what it says on the tin. So here's today's golden nuggets. So on this day, the Justin campaign, named in memory of former Albion player Justin Fashanu, an only openly gay footballer, which is ridiculous considering we're however many years on from that, and tragically took his own life in 1998 in association with the club, with Kick It Out, hosted an evening of talk and debate about homophobia in football at the Withdean Stadium. The debate included Paul Hayward, interestingly Alison Vaughan, Charlie Oatway and Darren Ollerton, campaign director for the Justin campaign. The evening was attended by supporters and Albion officials, proved open and honest, the consensus being that professionals and fans alike were ready to see an end to homophobia in football. Now, in this country, I would say, yes, we've probably, I wouldn't say we're there.
No, we're not there.
But we're a lot better. We are a lot better. I know, take the Leicester aside.
And the West Ham.
And the West, yeah. Well, okay. So, we're okay.
I'm going to say that we have made progress, but I think 20 years on from that, we're still not where we need to be. And the fact there's still no out footballers, and that is not pressuring any gay footballers to come out who don't want to, aren't ready to, but the fact that we're still in an environment where they don't feel like it's safe for them to do so still boggles my mind. When I was a kid growing up, and I was brought up to be, progressive thinking person, I thought by the time I was in my mid-40s, we wouldn't be where we are. It seems.
Within the game, though.
Sorry, Mark.
I thought I'd just mention this because there's a parallel to showbiz in this sense. Is that within the game, there will be dressing rooms who will know.
Oh, of course, absolutely.
And speaking, it's bound to be the case because there's a lot of actors, in the past. Certainly, it's the same sort of story back then, really. it was you'd know in your theatre companies or
Yes,
your film
yeah.
set, you'd know. And yeah, I won't name names, but because that'd be improper. But that was the case within, and it takes people sometimes to jump out of that, go public, to then change the perception, and that's what sometimes happens. But even now, even in the film and theatre industry, there are people still doing
closeted,
that because
yeah.
as a society, yet we still haven't progressed to that point where we'll tolerate.
Obviously, there have been some. I mean, Fashanu came out very much towards the end of his playing career. He'd already obviously been at the Albion. He wasn't out then, and he was barely playing through his terrible injuries. Since in the last 5 years, I guess we've had Robbie, the American player. I've forgotten his surname.
Yes,
apologies. But also Thomas Hitzelsberger came out after he retired. So there have been a number of players who have felt okay to come out just when they're not still playing.
But that's still only a handful.
It is.
When you consider...
But it's a massive step forward.
It is, but it's, as you said, in 20 years from it, it's... when you look at society in terms of... somewhere we're lucky, we're somewhere where it's perfectly acceptable to walk down the street and see... absolutely anything and anything you can possibly think of is going to be walking down the street. We're going to be faced with as if it's but that you're going to see
all of human
life as it can be. That's it. I was trying to find the right
in
word.
Its broad and wonderful pantheon of...
And you don't blink an eye. That's the thing. It's like, oh yeah, that okay, interesting. That's a new one. And walk on by as you see someone tattooed with those ear things that are huge and I don't know with 3 legs. I don't know. But you walk past it. Oh, that's Brighton. That's normal.
That's 3-legged. That is.
I know. I shouldn't start that. But. What can we do? What? Not necessarily us, or maybe we can. Maybe we can start another campaign like Dunk for England, which was so successful.
That's true. I'm not sure. As a tediously cisgender heterosexual white male, I'm not sure I'm in the best position, but maybe I am in the best position. But also, we don't have that big a platform from which to speak. I would just continue to encourage people not to be horrible to other human beings. I don't know.
If there are 3-legged players, can we put them on the bench for the game this afternoon? That'd be great up front.
Mike's got the obsession with a 3-legged player.
I'm actually now envisaging whether it would be a help or a hindrance. But presumably there are people who are born with 3 legs, because you get people...
right, where's this show gone? Let's put it back, and we'll do that by playing a tune from our friends at Jalapeno Records. This is Stella Marie. Enjoy. We're going to have something to settle us down. You are listening to the Albion Mag Radio Show on 1BTN, available online, DAB Digital and 101.4 FM. Dean Kilford, Leon Cox, joined in the studio by special guest Mark Brailsford, who's now fully recovered. And I was going to say, we've calmed ourselves down whilst that song was playing.
Yeah. We've had a little political rant, actually. So I don't know about calmed, but yeah.
So one of the other shows Mark's famous for is the Treason Show, which he was doing last night. You can do a little plug for the Treason Show if you like, Mark. It's a sort of satirical look at the current state of where we're at, basically,
the state of it all,
the state of the country, and where we're at. It changes on a show by show basis.
Yes, as in. You're right. It's a state, but topical satire. But we're just on our regular run now. We finished that, and now we're building up to the Christmas special, which is our review of the year, and that's the best bits of the year's Treason shows, and that'll be on at the Pier over the 27th to 31st of December. So tickets are already selling quickly. So if you need, it always sells out that run because it's the best of. So if you want to come and see the Christmas special, that was the year that was. Book now.
And while I'm not going to ask you to do the performing monkey thing, Mark, I have found in my research that you do a mean Donald Trump.
I helped produce one of these shows.
Oh, did you?
For Mark. So I mean, if you want to do the rest of the show as Donald Trump,
gosh,
no, don't. But we can hear it.
I could do a quick burst for you guys because you're so great, really great. You're doing it so bigly. But in this small room, that's a lot of words. I'm sorry. Is that a bomb? I'm sorry. What was that?
And quickly, we're off the air. No, thank you, Mark.
Way better than Alec Baldwin's, I've got to say.
This is true. That's a true, yeah. But we are the Albion Mag Radio Show, so we do need to. Maybe we'll get Donald Trump's prediction on the game later on when we do our predictions. We've had our Twitter poll, which we mentioned earlier in the show. Glenn Murray will he, won't he play today? That's one of the options for him, scoring his century of goals for the Albion. The result, it must be time up. I'm pretty sure. We tend to time it to.
There's 1 minute left here, but we haven't had any votes for a while. So, thanks everyone.
Let's everyone that has voted.
Yes.
The options are Wolves today, then our next two away games, Everton, then Cardiff, or will he save it for a return to the Amex at home to Leicester?
Okay, so
yes.
So only 15% of those who have expressed an interest or a preference reckon he'll score away at Everton. I'm hoping he will because I'll be there. Following that, it's the Leicester City home game. But I think the reason that's only down at 18% is because quite a lot of people reckon he's going to play today. 26% reckon he's not only going to feature today, but also score a goal. Perhaps they haven't been keeping up with current events, though, because I think that should be considerably lower. But top, and this I think does make sense given their defensive woes, away at Cardiff City, 41%.
41%. That's a big chunk.
And that would be a real treat for the however many couple of thousand Albion who go it's reasonable. It's like 4 hours each way to Cardiff, so that would be a nice treat
city
for them. Very nice.
We'll talk about that.
Last time I was there was for the playoff final 14 years ago.
There you go.
A lovely stadium, the Millennium Stadium. I kind of miss that we don't play any games, English games.
The atmosphere at the Millennium Stadium compared to Wembley is night and day. It's yeah. Anyway, that's for another subject on another day. So that leads in nicely. We don't think Murray will play today. We're different. I don't think if he's not playing, he's not. I don't think he'll be included in the squad. Whereas you think if he's past protocol, he'll be on the bench.
I think I don't necessarily think he will. I just think it is feasible that he might, if he passes the protocols, it might be that he may have had less training than he would have done. So it may be that Houghton would think that he could be somebody to bring on in a pinch. But my prediction is Locadia will start and Andone will be on the bench.
We're playing a team that it's not often that we get to say this. We're playing a team that we've got a very good record against.
Amazing record.
So this, I knew we had a 100% record against Wolves in the top flight.
Yes.
So for those of you that don't know, we've played them 6 times in the top flight and won all 6.
Yeah.
Which is tied for the best top flight record with Arsenal against Reading, Man City against Bournemouth, and there's one other which
right.
But
big normally big versus minnow kind of affairs.
So
it's a bit of an odd thing. We've long had a bit of a hoodoo over Wolves. I've seen us beat them at home at the Goldstone.
We beat them double over them in the Championship.
Yeah,
season.
Seen a bit. One of the first games Bad omens, says Mark.
But there's lots of things also in the fact that I didn't realise, because everyone was Wolves have come in, and I wouldn't say necessarily they're taking the Premier League by storm, but they've come in, they play good football. They're
doing as well as the pundits predicted, I think.
But they also are flattering to deceive, because I didn't realise they've only scored 9 goals. Which, for all their attacking play, with what's everyone's saying that they're one of the best teams to watch. I mean, I remember them battering Burnley one of the first weeks of the season, and they only won 1-0, and it probably should have been 6 or 7, but they're only scoring the odd goal.
It's that transition again, isn't it? Coming up from the Championship, where they've created a lot of. I know they brought in a few players, but there's a lot of players who were there last season. They've got used to the kind of opportunities and the amount of opportunities you get in the Championship compared to the Premier League, and suddenly actually finishing them is that much harder, because you got
better players hopefully
trying to stop you. Yeah. So even if you get the opportunities, it's not you got a lot of very international top class goalkeepers and defenders, people throwing themselves in the way of things. So hopefully they'll continue to be that little bit profligate today, because I think we've definitely got Gross and probably Murray out, Prepper's out, so a lot of our creative edge may be blunted.
So here's what I say. Let's presume, for the sake of this, that Murray isn't starting. That's a given. Does that change the way we play? Because I think that it's the perfect opportunity to potentially try something different going forward. But I don't think you agree, do you, Leon?
Well, no, my personal feeling is that it should change the way we play if he's going to start Locadia, because Locadia is patently such a different player to Murray.
Yeah.
And he keeps playing in these games and he keeps floundering because he's not getting the kind of service that he requires. So it looks to me like we're playing a similar game plan to that which we play when Murray's up there, but we're not playing to Locadia's strengths at all. And he's looking, I think there have been very small signs of improvement in the last couple of games, but still he looks way off the quality that we need. Personally, I would like to see us continue to play the way we have been playing, because the rest of the team knows it, and start with Andone up front today and give him a chance, because we've paid all this money for him. I mean, I know he was actually a bargain in the end because we got him on the release clause thing, but we pursued and secured this player after a long chase, and we've barely used him. And Locadia has now had a number of chances without really tearing up trees. So I would like to see Andone given the chance to start up front.
What do you think, Mark? Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. You said that how the style of play for Locadia is different. It's interesting when he first started playing. You could, most of us have seen it happen. He would make those quick trigger runs down the channels, and the ball wasn't getting to him.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
we don't play that way.
Exactly.
And that really must have been frustrating. And I wonder if his confidence has somewhat dipped, thinking, well, I'm not going to get the serve. I don't quite know how to do this.
That's it.
And it looks that way, doesn't it? And it's interesting you said about Andone. We haven't seen him, and I'm really thinking, well, why have we seen this player? And obviously the injury he had and all that. But yeah, I wonder about that. And Locadia's got really on the spot today. I mean, he really does have to turn up. Even if he doesn't score, he's got to look like he's capable of stepping up. So I'm wondering about that. And benefit of the doubt, finally they made a week of training, hopefully, where they're going, right, now that's how he runs. That's where he's going to go.
Yeah,
let's
very
just
good
play
point.
this pattern differently. This time that might be an asset. Kyle's been also, you said about creative, who put the cross in for the goal the other week?
Yeah.
Kyle, who I think has been brilliant since he's
Yeah,
come
he
back.
has, yeah.
So, hopefully there's a bit more of a wavelength there in training, because Murray's had to be rested.
Yes.
Well, also, with that, does that, because I've seen a bit of the training sessions, but only the bits that the media have been allowed to see, but behind closed doors, whether it is the case of it's generally first team, second team in drills, so actually like your Locadias and Donis don't get the opportunity to practice the set plays do you know what I mean?
Just the pattern of play.
Just the pattern of play. Because
I wonder if Houghton will have, in his very thoughtful, disciplined way, he may have made the decision on Murray like after the game last week and said, right, we are training, this is the team that I'm going to aim to play next week. But then there may still have been, I know Gross has been back in training, so I don't know whether he'd already definitely known that Gross wouldn't be available today. So it's whether he makes the choice earlier in the week and says, this is what we're working to, and this is the team. One weirdly positive thing about Wolves is that they're not probably going to change their team, and they've got no injuries
got a very
or
settled
doubts.
team.
Yeah.
The players, that there's no, and that's quite refreshing. Reminds me a bit of Bournemouth a few years. There's they're going to play. They're starting 11, give or take one or two players, and they're confident in the way they play, and that's how they play, and that's Wolves. So that's a nice thing to see. That's something that we were saying that we'd have liked us last season to carry on playing the way we were playing in the Championship, and obviously we changed, which turned out for the better. But
worked out right. But the one other change, and obviously this would, along with an enforced striker change, would mean changing things a little further, but not in a dramatic way for me. I still don't think Solly March is quite proving himself as a starting player tucked in behind the striker. And I actually think that, again, it's not about how much money you've paid for them or whether they play internationally or whatever, but I would like to see all three of Izquierdo, Knockaert and Jahanbakhsh play as a three, two wide and one central. Solly on the bench, absolutely. But as a player to start in behind the striker, I think, I'm not sure how happy, I know Knockaert's played there before. I'm not sure if Ali Reza is somebody who would enjoy playing in that central role.
See, I like Knockaert with that free role.
Right.
When the Tottenham game, for the last half an hour, Houghton went, go where you want to go, and he changed from being on the periphery to running that game.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen often enough.
Must be a
me.
nightmare to defend against. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to see that. I would like to see Andone up top with Izquierdo, Knockaert and Jahanbakhsh behind. I think that would be really exciting.
But as we always say, Houghton knows best.
Houghton does know best.
We don't know what we're talking about.
I only play video games, so.
But have you done a video game prediction of this game?
Yeah.
How did it turn out?
Yeah, it didn't go so well.
You don't have to tell us, but
no, I lost 1-0. Again, this is FIFA on the legendary, the toppermost difficulty setting, with the live form on. Very, very closely matched. Brighton and Wolves teams, all mid 70s, for defence, midfield, and attack. Yeah, it was a late penalty to them. We battered them for most of the game.
Right.
But it was probably like the stats equivalent of the Newcastle game, but for us.
Okay.
But in this case, Kyle gives away a soft penalty late on, and it's tucked home.
Well, and as we know from last week,
last week I was spot on.
Leon was absolutely spot on. So
it wasn't a Dale Stevens pile driver though.
No,
so,
but it was an Esquerdo pile driver off Kyle's heel. So interestingly, obviously two back-to-back 1-0 wins, both first half goals. If we win today, it will be the first time we've won 3 games in a row in the top flight since 1981.
Amazing.
Which I suppose isn't that much of a surprise, but
another clean sheet would be incredible as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's Wolves have only scored 1 in 4 league matches against Albion, which is actually scored by Connor Goldson, now Rangers player.
Yes.
Own goal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've only lost 1 in our last 6 meetings against Wolves.
And that's pretty much it stats wise, isn't it? What's the overall record? Is it 1-14 lost 6? I think that's something like that, which is
1-14 drawn 10 lost 6. Yeah, it's very much in our history is in our favour, but Mark's an optimist.
I've been watching the Albion since I was 7. Brian Clough was manager, and I've been through the pain for long enough. We've all been through the pain, but I've learned long ago.
You've seen us beat Wolves even more times than I have in that case.
Possibly. Yeah. But I do worry about. Well, I mean, joking aside, I'm joking, but Wolves are a very good side, and I think their way of playing is not to our liking. I think they'll be tasty, and I think they'll be at us, and I think eventually we do sit back and give away goals.
Well, interesting, because we've now come to prediction time, Mark. So as you've given us your doom of which is normally Leon's job, to be fair, is the pessimistic one amongst us. What's your thoughts on the score today?
I hope we'll win, obviously, because win. But I have a feeling we might get done today. I'd be happy with a draw, frankly.
Any score draw?
I'll go for a 2-1.
That's not a draw. Just in case you didn't know.
Sorry. It's been a late.
He's been watching football since the early 70s.
I think I reckon it will end up 1-1, but I think Wolves might win it 2-1. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so you're going to hang your hat on a 1-1 draw, but you think Wolves will win.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going for. The official prediction, though, for the sake of the show, is 1-1 from our guests, which matches Phil Thompson and Mark Lawrenson. Both went for 1-1 draws.
And Charlie Nicholas.
Yes. Yeah. Who's Richard Ashcroft from the Verve? What's he talking about? 1-0 to Wolves.
He's a fool.
What's your FIFA prediction?
He's a fool, the same as me. But Jeff Stelling and Paul Merson, they both gone for 2-0 home wins for the Albion. So
I've often read the predictions of different pundits, and Paul Merson was highlighting the fact that Wolves' lack of goals.
Paul Merson, he's a very likeable fella and a character. He may not be the most articulate, but I do think he does know. I think he knows his football. He
knows his onions.
He does, and he was an exceptionally good player. Did either
was
of
that
you
before or after alcohol and drugs? Or
actually during?
Sadly, was it?
Yeah. There was a game. Who was he playing for? He came and played with Dean in the latter stages of his career, if I recall correctly, sitting in midfield for somebody. And
Portsmouth.
Yes, Portsmouth. Yes. Stroked the ball around.
He looked good.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gone for a 2-0. So, Leon, are you sticking with your PlayStation prediction? What's your prediction?
I think I went 0-0 actually on the on the Super 6 type thing. Yeah.
Other betting is available.
Yes. Well, Super 6 is free, so it's not technically gambling.
That's true. Well, no, it's true.
They just try to hook you in with a free.
For the free bet. Yeah. Well, I've also on my Super 6, I've gone for 2-1.
Okay.
Brighton, that is, not just
ever the optimist.
Well, not always, but today I think there will be goals, because I think Wolves do leave themselves open. And I do think if we do play a quick three with Johanbach, Esquerdo, and I think Esquerdo is going to be the key because he's the one that's going to get in behind out of the three of them if Knockout's kept to his usual position out wide. So yeah, I do see us.
He's such fun to watch, Izquierdo. It's just always love a pacey winger with, and you just see the fear in the fullback's eyes as he comes towards him. It's good.
The problem with him, sorry, that's right. The worry I've got now is that so many people have seen Esquerdo now, and that cut in, and he's going for that right foot shot curler, right? We know it, they'll know it. So it only takes a decent coach who's had a good scouting report who's going to go, you know what, just show him outside.
But he still did it. He did it last week for the goal. It was still him cutting in on his right foot to get the shot away.
That's true, and he gets some balls back over from the byline with his left as well. So you can. I mean, talk about a player with one trick. John Barnes made a
good point.
Made a decent career out of it.
Equating Esquerdo with John Barnes, interesting.
Bit smaller, bit quicker.
Both good players.
Both good players. Yeah.
Both good players. So there we are. That's the predictions. Do let us know. There's a few minutes left. We're on air. If you want to get in touch with us at TAM Radio Show on Twitter to give us your thoughts. We'll move on to the under-23s. We mentioned the 2-0 win over Benfica in the Premier League Invitational Tournament, which it's nice to say we beat Benfica, isn't it?
Yeah.
And who scored, do you reckon?
Must be that man.
Aaron Connolly. Aaron Connolly. Your tweet last week, you went in, you put some great points in. Yeah, he should be fast-tracked to the Ireland first team. I agree with that. Yeah,
that was on our WhatsApp, so but you mentioned it on the show. Yeah, I don't see why the Irish, I know, they've got their own issues at the moment, the Irish management, but they are persisting with Shane Long, who has his goal record for Ireland in the last 3 years.
His goal record, full stop, isn't very good for a striker.
So I would just think, surely you just get this kid in now and make him your
focal point.
Yeah.
But of course he scored again. So did Guillaume Corres, who was someone that...
Gocares. I think. I don't know.
I've always pronounced it that way. I haven't been told off yet. So, but he was someone that actually was saying that always flatters to deceive.
Oh, he's scoring quite a few as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's tall. Is he wide?
Very tall.
He's a wide player.
Very, very tall, very Scandinavian by look. As they are, very tall, very blonde, very... well built.
Be interesting if we see if any of these will ever make the 25-man Premier League squad.
Well, this is where I hope that they do, because we've got a good squad there. We're away at third place Chelsea today.
That's a big one.
And then we host Everton, top of the table Everton, on Friday night.
Could beat Everton twice in 24 hours.
So could do, yeah.
Maybe the women are playing them too.
No, a couple of weeks ago.
Wouldn't that be weird? That's right. Of course they did, yeah.
But they're looking good. The under-23s are in a good place. Two great games, Chelsea and Everton. And this is normal. Like this is normal.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's amazing. Yeah, I love the fact that the official Premier League app actually has the PL2 on it as one of its tables, and you can just tab straight over to it, and there's Brighton near the top of the PL2 table. It's a bit surreal. Yeah.
It's So anyway, good for one other thing about the under-23s. They've decided to change the location of the Sussex Senior Cup game to Lewis. They've moved it to the Dripping Pan, which is Lewis's ground, which is nice because that will mean it'll be a big bumper crowd there. The date of that is... I didn't write it down. But we'll preview it the week before it comes anyway. But,
we always say nice things about a visit to the Dripping Pan.
Yep. Love it. Love that ground. The beach huts.
Beach huts and beer.
Mark likes the beer. Which ties in nicely. I'm not prepped for this. Oh, what a disaster. Fill in for me, Leon. Fill in very quickly.
Dean is now playing with the technology as he tries to access his beloved reggae bed.
There it is, the non-league bed. Oh dear, how I've missed that every week. So it's a non-league bed. I was too busy having fun to worry about the technical side of this show. Lewis, we mentioned them, we're playing them. They're up to fifth. So fifth in the league, back-to-back wins without conceding a goal. I'm fortunate enough to see them on Tuesday nights. I can't remember which day. Yeah, Tuesday night against Whitehawk in the derby. They won that 1-0. Although Whitehawk were very unlucky not to come away with anything from that game. A tale of two penalties, one scored and one missed. They're away at Ashford Town. It's FA Trophy Day today. And then they host Harlow Town on Halloween, which is quite nice alliteration, isn't it? That's all I've got to say about that. But yeah, Lewis up to 5th. So carrying on their title winning form or promotion winning form into the Bostik Premier. Whitehawk, as I said, they lost 1-0 in that game to Lewis. They got thrashed 6-0 on Saturday to Enfield Town, who were second in the league. They're now 19th, just 2 points above the relegation zone, having played 4 games more than Leatherhead, who are immediately below them. They're at home to Harlow Town today, a team who they beat on the first day of the season 4-2. So hopefully something for the Hawks fans to get excited about. Their crowd's picking up. There was 600 there, which is the biggest crowd for about 4 years, I think. So that was good. Worthing have slipped to 6th in the table. That's because they haven't played a game, because they're in FA Cup action. Unfortunately, they lost 4-0 to Ebbsfleet Town. A game that was nowhere near as the scoreline suggested. Worthing just didn't put their chances away, and the team that are 2 divisions above them did, and that was the difference. It's a massive day. They've got an FA Trophy derby away at Burgess Hill Town today. That's a good one. That's where I'll be later on. Unfortunately, I won't be at the Amex. I'll be doing me other.
Unfortunately, I'll be at the Amex.
Wait, who knows? If your PlayStation prediction comes through, yeah, unfortunately. Burgess Hill Town are still bottom of the league, but they did draw 0-0 against third place Dorking Wanderers. They also, they're in Sussex Senior Cup action on Tuesday, Bexhill United, if you fancy a bit of that. And last but not least, Bognor Regis Town are 4th in the league after a 0-0 draw at home to Margate. But they went out for the Velocity Trophy, a trophy that I know that you love, Leon, one of your favourites.
Great name.
Not as Peter Bentley Cup, that's your favourite one, isn't it?
Peter. Love a bit of Peter.
So they went out to Hythe Town, which was a bit of a shock result. It's only their second defeat of the campaign in all competitions. Last but not least, fixtures today, if you're out and about, not going to the Amex. Lancing at home to Peacehaven and Telscombe. That'll be a nice one. Didn't mention this. Shoreham travelled to Eastbourne United. They got their first win in 13. Yes, well done. And Saltden United are also in Eastbourne. They're at Eastbourne Town. Last but not least, final plug. Those of you that like your non-league football, Sussex football, tune in to the Sussex Football Show on YouTube every Monday night. The new one's up. So don't know who's involved in that show. Someone. Does it have a reggae bed all the way through? I should. No. No, it does not. It does not.
Disappointing.
So that's the non-league roundup, which is good. I did that quite quickly. Normally I take. Try to speed
standard,
it.
But typically slick and professional. Don't forget the women.
Oh yes, that's because I went to the Lewis non-league. So the women. Well, maybe I wanted to forget that because they played Man City on Sunday in the a lovely initiative to get people along to a game, which probably wasn't so great to watch. A very clinical Manchester City women's or ladies team, they're called, came away 6-0 victors. We bought
tickets, but didn't end up getting there. So we bought tickets for £1 because why not? But actually, we went on a boat trip in the morning and didn't get back in time. So to get to Crawley.
Crawley's nowhere near the water. I don't quite understand why. No wonder you didn't get there.
Exactly. We were out at sea. We went on one of these boat trips to the Rampion Wind Farm.
Okay.
It's about 3 hours long. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you know each one of those turbines is almost... There's 116 of them, and each one of them is nearly the height of the i360.
I didn't know, but
from bottom to
I do know that they were shipped in pieces from Holland.
That's correct.
And a very good friend of mine is the marine biologist that allowed them when they could work and drill and when they couldn't.
There's interesting. He was telling the boatman, the guide was telling us about that and how actually, they weren't allowed to hammer at certain times because of spawning something or other, some kind of fish.
Which part of?
But actually, the base of the things are really good for biodiversity because they attract certain kinds of algae and coral, and
it's going to change the ecosystem. Yeah, it's going to change. And also it does muck up the bird. I was going to say a different word there. It ruins the birds somewhat because their regular flight path has been altered.
That's true. But yes,
as a marine biologist, he had no say over that one though.
No, it's a bit of a myth that birds get because they only go at 3 speeds, the turbines, which is off, slow, and slightly faster than slow. So the myth that birds get sort of sliced up in them is a myth.
Yeah, it just changes their flight path. That's. Are you disappointed or pleased? Did you say?
I'd be very upset about that if the birds were being chopped up by the wind farm. I like the wind farm; it's great to have, but we need more of them, don't we? Really.
provides the Rampion. I sound like the guide now. The Rampion provides enough energy for almost 300,000 homes.
Yeah, I did know that fact, actually.
I mean, that is...
This radio show.
Listen, you get everything on this one. You get absolutely
got
everything.
the shipping forecast.
Yes. So, final thoughts. With positive, is it a Grubs trip for you before or after?
Not today. We've actually been...
Oh, sorry, Grubs.
But I'm going to keep one in the bank. But no, our friend and downstairs neighbour Barnaby is cooking us a meal tonight. So,
nice.
But yeah, really looking forward to the game. Really excited to be at the Amex as always.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long time after. Although we're going to Everton next week, so
yes,
2 weeks in a row for me. But yeah, I always love Saturday when it's home game.
Game day.
Hoping for goals and a win and some marks on the beers.
Mime. No one can see your mime, unfortunately, Mark, but you'll be there.
For your benefit, for you to choose whether to allow that to go on air. But
of course.
I'm looking forward to the lemonades, put it that way.
Yes, a few sherbets will be enjoyed and well earned, although Mark's prediction might be in misery rather than joy. You've been listening to the Albion Mag radio show. A big thank you to our guest, Mark Brailsford. Of course, you can check out the Treason Show, end of year Christmas Spectacular on the Brighton Pier, 23rd to the 27th of December. I may have made those dates up.
27th to the 31st.
27th to the 31st of December.
Indiegogo, Gareth Southgate ate my credit card.
Yep, which is...
closed but still going.
Still going, so donate, put that. So thank you for him coming in. Thank you, of course, to Leon, who won't be with us next week because he'll be giving us a live report from...
The week after
from
Goodison.
Everton. So, yeah, something like that. I'll be here, hopefully joined by Tom Stewart. You've been listening to the Albion Mag Radio Show at TAM Radio Show on Twitter. We'll leave you from a song, our friends at Jalapeno Records. This is a song by the Allergies, When the Heat Comes Down.